What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning into the Biz with G right here, right now. And we got the beautiful and talented Kelly Price back with us. But this time, she's on the Biz with D with me. Hey, Miss Kelly, how you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Good. So glad to be speaking with you. Thanks for coming back.
Yes, thank you for having me back. I got to get it together.
I know. It's okay. Don't even worry about it. But, oh, my goodness, so much has, been going on since the last time we talked. So kind of catch me up since the last time, because I know you were getting ready for your show, Too Fat for Fame. Tell me, how everything with that whole audition process actually went down.
Oh, the auditions were amazing and eye-opening. And just more inspiring than I could have ever even imagined. I mean, having, lived through that experience myself, I kind of knew what I was in for, but just it was overwhelming, really, to have that many people respond. Thousands of people responded from all over the world, and we went through 2 different rounds of auditions. There were online auditions. We did in-person auditions in Los Angeles. And it was really moving, but, I mean, some amazing talent and really just an incredibly, incredibly beautiful and gifted people showed up, men and women who act, who sing, who dance, models, and just anything that you could think of in the land of creativity. And just to know that there is, I mean, I've been saying it, and I'd kind of made it the motto and the theme of Too Fat for Fame. But to really come face-to-face with so much talent and to realize that so many people have been denied because of their weight. And then realizing that a lot of people literally just gave up and decided not to try because they didn't want to have to deal with the rejection. So it's a great project, and it's an opportunity to introduce talent to the world. But I think it's a necessary project, too, because I think we have an opportunity to right a real wrong. Like, people shouldn't be denied the opportunity to share their creativity with the world simply based on the way that they look. Something, it made me more almost vigilant about getting the project out there. And so I'm glad that I did launch it even virally prior to, I guess one way would have been to just kind of take it and try to look for a home for it first. But I'm actually glad that I released it into the atmosphere and went viral with it first, just to get the reaction and the response from people literally all over the world. People responded from Australia and from South Africa and from England, and just there are so many different things that I never even thought to consider in terms of creativity that we got an opportunity to witness from people who just want to be allowed to be who God made them creatively to be, and they just want to be told yes because they can do it and not no because of the way they look. So it's been an incredible journey over the last, almost a year. And so I'm more determined now than ever to see it come to television. And so I'm working really, really hard. In the meantime, I've been working on this record, and that has occupied a lot of my time. But now that Volume 1 of Sing, Pray, Love is done, and I've already begun recording Volumes 2 and 3. Actually, been just recording all of the music simultaneously.
Oh, wow.
My priority really is to get Too Fat for Fame to everyone's screens. We need to see these amazing people who have not had the opportunity to be seen and heard.
That is so true. And let's talk about the new album and, how you came up with the concept, because I love the fact that even though just thinking what you're already into with the future with Volume 2 and Volume 3, tell me how you came up with the concept, because I love the title and I'm so with the direction. Tell me about it, how you came up with it.
Oh, God. Like within the last year before my 40th birthday, I did a lot of reflecting and just over my life. I really did do a lot of reflecting, and I actually even did some digging. I dug into my family history. I just did a lot. Something, I don't know what it is. I'd heard it before, but as I approached 40, something really, really shifted in me. And I wanted, closure with some things and finality with others. And some of it literally just, rather than closure, I ended up being set on another path for another part of the journey. But, even with that there's closure in that the journey is not over and I got to keep moving. But that whole thing, everything that I live and experience in life tends to come out creatively, whether it's in the form of a poem or a song, or if I write a script about it or a book about it, I'm doing something to express myself creatively based on whatever's going on in my life. And so that's really where it came from. When I thought about my life and I started saying, God, what is this? You know, I'm emotional and I'm happy, but I'm crying and I'm so resolved, and I'm thinking about, you know, my mom and my dad and childhood and just, you know, all the right decisions I've made, all the wrong decisions I've made raising kids, and just literally it was like my whole life was just doing a repeat inside my head. And then I started thinking, oh, my God, Julia Roberts, Eat, Pray, Love. I saw that movie a few years ago, and I remember watching the movie and just being completely sucked into what she was experiencing. And she didn't have a bad life. You know, I mean, I started in a place where, you know, we didn't have a whole lot, and I dealt with a lot, homelessness and a lot of stuff as a kid. But I'm grateful for the life that I've had, good times and bad times, and I don't live a bad life right now. She walked away from living a life where she made good money. She had a 401k. She had a retirement plan. She had a loving, kind husband. He wasn't cheating on her. He wasn't beating her. He wasn't, you know what I mean? Like she had a good life, but she was unfulfilled because she had not discovered her purpose, and she hadn't really ever taken any risk. She did everything exactly the way people expected for her to do it, but she never met any of her own expectations. And so that's what this entire project is about, not just Volume 1. Volumes 2 and Volumes 3 are the expression of me coming to a moment in life and saying, if I live out my entire life just doing everything it is that everybody expects from me, but never taking a risk for fear that someone won't like me, for fear that I'll be hated, for fear that you know, this will happen, or for fear that one won't agree with the decision that I made, then I will have come to the end of my life and I'll die never having lived. Life is full of disappointments and good times and bad times, and if you don't take a risk with anything, you'll never get the fullness of it. And so that's what Sing, Pray, Love is about. And so it's in my decision-making, it's in my music, and through those experiences have come some incredible songs that I want to share with the world. And we let off with It's My Time, because I believe that to my core, that it is now my time, and I believe that I am at a place where I understand that it doesn't ever have to not be my time again, because if I decide that it's my time and I'm willing to go for it, and I decide that I'm worth the risk and worth the effort, and I don't have to stay inside of this safe little box where people are comfortable with me, so I'm comfortable because other people are comfortable, then it can always be my time. And I want other people to know what that feels like, because I know I'm not the only one who's put myself and put limits on myself and put myself inside of a box of safety, so that people will always give their stamp of approval. Most of us live that way, even the ones that consider ourselves a little bit radical. We really don't push ourselves all the way out there, because at the end of the day, we tell ourselves we want people to approve, we want people to like us, we want people to love us, we don't want them to hate us, we don't want people to think this, we don't want them to think that. And it's not about being rebellious in so much as it is allowing yourself to rebel against what doesn't work for you. And there's a difference. I think there are people who just live in rebellion, but I think every successful person at some point rebelled. They went against the grain. They decided not to be the status quo. They said no when everybody else said yes. They said yes when everybody else was saying no. They took an opinion that wasn't popular. And so when you can decide that it's okay for you to do that, obviously for the right reasons, but when you can decide that it's okay to do that, it is your time. And the enveloping of that for me is Sing, Pray, Love, because when I do reflect on my life, those are the three consistents of every area of my life. Through good times, through bad times, riding at the top of the charts, trying to figure out what I was going to do for the next record, trying to figure out where the next meal was coming from, and having 2 refrigerators full of food. Whatever at low tide, at high tide, with much and with very, very little, I've always sung, I've always prayed, and I've always loved my way through every part of my life, and it's worked. And so that's where I am. And I'm going to live in that space for the rest of my life, just taking greater risk and going for bigger things.
I know that's right, Kelly. That is the way to live it. And I got to say, I've always loved your story because it's always been a deeper meaning than people don't exactly, understand.
Yeah.
Because people have always been quick to judge you by the show. And I know when me and you and Natasha talked last year, that was one of the things that, was definitely struck. So I feel you on that. And let me tell you something. It's my time. I can personally connect to that because I tell people every day, I'm like, look, I might have told you it was my time 2 years ago, but 2014 is my time to be.
Is it not for real? I'm telling you, for real. Because you might have said it back then, but now you really know what that means. Your understanding of It's My Time has changed, and that's what this project was supposed to do. That's what this song was supposed to do. So to hear you say that, I know that people are getting it. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Because I've gone through, different things just like everybody else is going through. And people be like, what do you mean when you say that, David? I'm like, think about it. Think about what I've been telling you throughout the years that you've known me. Think about the things that I might even drop hints on my show. I may not always speak on Twitter personally and connect with people, but I will always be able to connect with you.
Yes. Amen. And Selah. All of that right there. Yes. Yes.
So, that's my little
That's what it's about.
It is.
Yes, I love it. I'm glad. That's good for me. You just did something for me. My spirit is leaping right now. That's incredible. It's incredible. And that literally is what this is about. People always, we have said it at different points. Oh, it's my time. I'm about to get it. I'm about to go get mine. I'm getting ready to go get it. And you can say it, and it's wonderful. Put it out there. It's great. But if you don't understand what you're saying, then you actually can't do what you're saying. So now that people are beginning to understand that It's My Time is not the result of winning a lottery ticket, it's not the result of opportunity coming and knocking on your door, it's not the result of somebody giving you an opportunity. No. Go take the opportunity, and then it's your time. Because somebody, nobody ever has to give you anything. Nobody owes you anything. And if you sit around, some people will be given some things, but for most of us, it's not going to happen like that. So if you sit around and wait your whole life for something to happen, it is likely that nothing ever will. So you got to go make it happen. You got to decide, this is what I'm going to get out of life, and I refuse to take anything less than what I want out of life. Point blank, period. And then it's your time. You know why? Because you won't accept it being anything other than your time. So it has to be your time.
Mm-hmm. That's what I try to tell them. Actually, you better, if you believe that it is, you got to strive for it, not just say. Because a lot of people, I feel like, especially in the industry, and I don't mean to down anybody, there's a lot of people that say, I want to do this. It's my time. But it's like, how much time are you putting in so that it is your time?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yes. Like, you gotta put in before you can say it. Because I can be like, oh, it's my time to make a record. But have I put in the time to sit there and record? Have I took the time to get into how I was really feeling?
Yes. It requires a plan, and it requires action. Talk, in the end, is cheap. It does start with talk, because I believe that you have to speak those things before they are. But if you just keep speaking them and you don't do nothing, you're just going to be a whole lot of talk.
Absolutely. Now let me ask you, we can go on and on, but let me ask you, with this album, how many singles are you expecting? Because I know you probably want to put out a lot of different videos to a lot of the records that you have. How many are you expecting right at this time?
I really do. I'm hoping for at least 3 singles. Of course, I would love way more than that. I'm hoping for at least 3 singles. We've had extreme success with It's My Time, and we're kind of, we're really on the verge of having to officially decide what the next single is. People are really loving Back to Love, but people that have actually heard the music really, really love other cuts for the next single. There is another song that's actually getting a lot of amazing response, and it's called Think Again. And it's a ballad.
Yes, I love that one.
It puts you in the mind of classic Kelly Price music. But again, this Kelly it feels different. I may be saying some of the things that I've said before, but you hear a different resolve in the way that the song is delivered now. And so in making that decision. But I think that both songs deserve an opportunity to live as singles. And so I'm really hoping for at least 3 singles. And then, we've also talked about a deluxe version of the album maybe to come later in the year. And if that's the case, then that will give it an opportunity to have other stuff introduced. And have you listened to the entire project yet?
I've listened to half of it. Not all of it.
Okay.
Half of it.
If you get a chance to go to the Pandora premieres, they're streaming the entire thing so people can hear it before they buy it, and that just went up yesterday, I believe.
Okay.
But there is a song called Conversations with Her that I did with Algebra Blessed, which in my description of that really is like Friend of Mine Part 3. It is
Love
forward.
her.
Yes. She's amazing, and people really just don't even understand the amazing vocalist that she is. She could hurt a whole lot of people's feelings. They don't even understand that, but they need to get into who she is. She's a great vocalist. But she did this song with me, and it is a conversation between 2 women. It is a conversation between the former wife and the new wife. The new wife being the one that the former wife was dumped for. So it's really Friend of Mine Part 3. And the conversation between these 2 women, being Algebra Blessed and myself, is quite intense, but it's sung. And so when I think of how I would love to see this album live, there's so much that deserves an opportunity to get out and have its own time to just breathe free as a single. But a deluxe album coming later in the year, maybe around the holidays, would give plenty of room for that to happen.
Right.
There's actually a remix that's already been written for it, that if we can make that happen, a deluxe version would be able to introduce the remix to Conversations with Her that would include a Mr. Ronald Isley, which would be really great since we already had him on the remix of Friend of Mine. So I'm just saying there's just so much. There's so much that
really... Be another history in the making moment.
You don't understand. But yes, you do understand, actually.
Mm-hmm.
You do. Yes.
And that was big back then. And I try to tell people, y'all, what? There is a Friend of Mine. Oof. I was young when that came out, but I know. I try to tell people, I said, listen.
Yes.
And so I look forward to that. But let me ask you, just to kind of wrap it up,
yes.
With this recording process, how would you say, like, that overall, like, the feeling was versus this project versus the other projects you've done?
Soul of a Woman is classic, and it lives in my mind and in my life and in my heart and in the archives of my career and my mind as history making, because it was my first, and you never forget your first. The first will always be that. But eliminating that, this is the best recording experience I've ever had, not just because of where I am emotionally and spiritually and being older and I believe wiser, but just even my production team, me along with Anthony Shep Crawford, who has worked with me for now since the Mirror Mirror album in some way. We're now full-blown production partners and writing partners. And he and I, along with another gentleman named Philip Scott that we brought into our production team, we did the entire record, every song. I didn't bounce around. I didn't producer hop. I didn't studio hop. From track 1 all the way to track 11 is Kelly, Shep, and Philip. And we stuck not our foot, we stuck our whole lives into this project. And it's great. It's the best to me because he knows not just me as an artist, but he knows me as a person. He is somebody that's involved in my everyday life. I speak to him almost every day.